We are here for the second session of the day on Technology in Banking, New Frontiers. As we all know, technology is the most powerful tool that has been powering BFSI businesses. Every product or service is mostly powered by technology and innovation, in which technology has taken front seat in this fintech-driven world. In the midst of this entire banking frontier is accelerating the pace by bringing together technology, innovation, and BFSI sector by giving them a valued platform of technovation. Without further ado, I now request Professor Ramesh KG to escort Ms. Anita Pai onto the dais. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. They say listing the achievements of great personality is never an easy task. But as duty demands, here I am to give the gist of our beloved guest, Miss Anita Pai. A lady of dedication and commitment, Miss Anita Pai is the Senior General Manager and heads Customer Care at ICICI Bank, Mumbai. She has been with the ICICI Group for over 18 long years and leads a team of 7,000 employees. She is currently responsible for global operations of the bank, including treasury mid-offices, customer care service improvement, and innovation control function of treasury and corporate loans at ICICI Bank. Anita Pai was with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company Limited for 10 years since its inception. As Executive Vice President, she was in charge of customer service, operations, technology, and infrastructure. She had overall responsibility for the entire backbone of the business, including underwriting, claims, operations, and customer service, including call center and Six Sigma initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, will we even get a better example for women empowerment? I doubt. Let's give this eminent personality a huge round of applause. On behalf of entire college, I extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am. And I request you to kindly take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Morning. First of all, I must apologize. I have a very bad cold. So that's why my voice is all hoarse and everything. And in case I start coughing during the session, please excuse. Let me start by, first of all, congratulating the Sahyadri group for having completed 10 very esteemed years in education. I believe the future of this country, okay, is completely linked to education. Don't you agree? I should hear it louder, yeah? Yes, yeah. And the more that, we can all support education in any form. It could be elementary, it could be practical education, it could be skill building, or it could be extremely high education like this. I think we should all do our bit. And I would request each one of you, okay? I would request each one of you, after you graduate and pick up your jobs, especially the MBA second year, some of whom have already been placed, and some who are going to get placed soon, that from your first salary, you will help to educate at least one kid. Will you do that? Yes, sir. I think you all didn't get breakfast. Okay. So when your Professor Ramesh called me and said, it's such a prestigious occasion and I'd like you to come, I did not hesitate. I immediately said yes. Though for us in the financial services or in all listed companies anywhere, the month after the quarter is over is a very important month because board meetings happen, our results of the quarter get declared. So there's a lot of work that gets done, And since we are a regulated entity, which is RBI regulates all banks in India, so we have a lot of governance to do, a lot of work to do. So normally the month after the quarter, so typically January, April, July, October, these are tough months for us. But yet I said, no problem, I will come. So one, like I said, definitely it is because you guys, your institution is celebrating a milestone. And second, because I technically belong to Mangalore. My parents were born here, my husband was educated here, and I love coming to Mangalore. I like to eat the ghee roast, and I like to eat the kori roti, and all of that which typically I don't get in Bombay. So for both reasons, it worked out very well, and so here I am. So when we were setting up the, so he said you choose a topic which you think will help, the students of MBA. And I thought a lot to myself. I think the 2-3 big topics that work in the financial space today. One is about risk, okay? So do you know what is the GFC? The GFC happened 2008, the global financial crisis. So first thing, every MBA finance, and I believe today most people here are finance students. If you don't know what is the full form of GFC, tough, okay? So the first thing that the global financial crisis revealed is that all financial companies, especially banks, and not just, I'm not talking about India, so here at this point it's not India, it's across the world. They had forgotten that at the end of the day, what we are doing with depositor money. Why are banks such a regulated entity? Because we manage public money. All our parents, all when they were working, their money was in the banks, right? They made fixed deposits, they made recurring deposits for our education, they put money into savings account. If our parents were traders, they used a current account for, but it's all public money. What do banks do? They take this public money and they lend. So therefore, if you make wrong lending decisions, whose money are you wasting? The public's money. Which is why banks are so heavily regulated, so that the public's money can never go bad. Okay? It is the 2008 financial crisis that taught all of us that banks have forgotten that their basic purpose is to manage risk. You can never say that lending will be without risk. Because when you give 10 loans, maybe some part of one loan will go bad, which you could never have foreseen at the time of giving the loan. Maybe the customer was a bad customer. Maybe the customer got circumstances by which he could not pay. Maybe the customer's business, that particular sector went into a different cycle which was not anticipated. So many things happen. And therefore, it is important for banks to always calibrate risk and make sure that they give the companies where they believe the risk is adequate and they can manage the risk. So the global financial crisis, since that day, risk has become a very important part of all the language that you will hear. So especially for the finance guys, please read up on risk. Okay, Basel III is coming next few months to a year. It will put a lot of pressure, and you have to understand how it impacts the cost of capital. The second big space that in BFSI that gets talked about is the customer. Okay, how important the customer is, how should we reach our services and products to customers, how should we ensure that mis-selling does not happen. These are the things that we talk about. And the third topic that we talk about is technology. So I was thinking which of these three topics I should pick up. I finally decided that I should pick up technology. Okay? And when I walk through the presentation, I hope you will get a sense of why I picked up technology. So the first point itself that I got was that should I call my presentation Technologies in Banking, or should I call my topic as banking itself is now technology? Want me to raise it? Slideshow, okay. Okay. So that still remains a dilemma. We can debate. The second thing I'd like us to do is that, let's try and make it interactive. Feel free to stop me at any point and ask a question, no problem. And, or if you want to ask me questions not pertaining to the presentation at the end of the presentation, please feel free to do that also. So I leave it completely open. If I know the answer and I want to reveal it to you, I will give you the answer. If I know the answer and I don't want to say it, I'll say no comment. Correct? If I don't know the answer, I'll say I'll get back to you. I'll really find out the answer and make sure that through Ramesh, this answer is posted back to you guys. So is that fair? Okay. So first of all, this if you do a quick Google search, you'll get. ICICI Bank is one of the largest private sector banks today. It has been for a long time by consolidated assets. Is typically always known to be at the forefront of any technology change that this country has experienced. We have about 7,700 billion in terms of assets. Our profit after tax last year was a little less than 10,000 crores. At 35.8 cost to income ratio, we are the best in India today. Okay? This is a very important ratio, especially for the finance guys. Okay? And the ones who are not in finance, the ones who are in HR and marketing will always get pained by this because they'll not get allowed to spend. Why is this important? It talks about the efficiency of the bank. That for every rupee you earn, you are spending 36% as costs. This is not including interest. So take out interest on the money that is paid to all the depositors. But the more you spend here, the less you have to be able to show as profits and pay as dividends, etc. To pay as bonus, to pay as increments in salaries. So this is a very important number. We have about 13,000 odd ATMs. We have 4,800 branches all across the country. So as you can see, we're a very widely distributed, though not as widely distributed as the, which bank? State Bank, correct. And now State Bank after the merger has become 5 times more visible, because they've merged with 5 of their sister banks. I represent the operations group, and what we do, I'll tell you. What does operations do, I'll tell you. But we are present in about 80 cities. We manage 40 regional processing centers, 35 currency chests. Every rupee that comes out of our ATMs or our branches is managed by the operations team. We have centralized hubs at Mumbai and in Hyderabad. So what does the operations group do? We manage what is called retail liabilities. Retail liabilities are your savings accounts, your current accounts. We manage retail assets, which is mortgages, personal loans, credit cards, and rural operations. Currency management I talked to you about. We help the capital markets in India by managing all their cash inflows and outflows. There's a very critical part of the business that we do, which is called cash management services. We do international private banking, trade, okay, which is a very complex set of transactions. And we do a lot of treasury transactions like forex, derivatives, investments. So all of the management of all of these products comes under the operations group. So the operations team is about 7,000 odd people. These are the firsts that you will see on ICICI Bank today. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to just quickly read through that. So as you can see, any new technological innovation, and ICICI Bank is there. So whether it was using blockchain technology, whether it was, trying a completely different method of, being in our banking system, our iMobile, which is our mobile banking, and using something called iMobile Smart Keys. We have over 1 lakh digital POS, the only bank at that point in time. Huge number of transactions through our digital channels. A lot of robotic software that we use. Highest number of mobile banking transactions. So, you can see that the last financial year we grew 168%, and the growth still continues in this financial year. And one of the things that we're extremely proud about is our MD had set us a target of 100 digital villages in 100 days. So we picked up villages, and these are regular small villages, and we completely digitized them. So what do we mean by digitized? Right from that small, grocer in that, or the milkman, or even the baker, whoever in that small village, everybody, all transactions are through cashless. There's no cash that goes. There is, Wi-Fi that's available. So people are completely using technology to go through the day and do not require cash. I can tell you I went to one of these villages in Gujarat called Akodara, which was the first digital village that we launched, which actually our Prime Minister Modi himself launched. And I went into that village and I bought a packet of chips for 5 rupees, a small. And I paid through mobile, and within a second he got the transaction. And he was happy because he didn't have to worry about whether he had change. And I was so happy that I just didn't need to pull out my wallet. So making 100 villages, what does it mean? It means that it empowers a lot of our villagers. One, middlemen are taken away. The big problem in a lot of our villages today is that a big chunk of their income gets taken away by the middlemen. Second is the women are able to get for their work money directly into their account. If it comes as cash, we know what happens, right? It could be their husbands take it away, either to gamble or do something else, or just waste it in some other, instead of plowing it back into a more sustainable livelihood, or instead of paying for any household necessities. So it really changes the way the whole village works. And we are now scaling this up to 500 villages by the end of this financial year. So all of this has happened, and we are continuously innovating. So if you look at the innovation journey that we've had, so if you look at 2001, the big deal was to have an ATM. The first ATM in India was definitely brought in by Citibank. But the first high number of ATMs was done by ICICI Bank. Having a lot of ATMs across the country, proliferating it. Because at that point in time, for the Indian customer, in 2001, till then what drove banking to a large extent was relationships. But from relationships, slowly Indians were saying relationship is good, convenience is more important. And we all know that ATMs give you a huge amount of convenience. You can withdraw your money anytime, anywhere, your time. And therefore, offering services at the branch, offering ATMs, those were the big things between 2001, 2003. 2005, 2007 was internet banking. Today we all take anything to do with internet banking as a given. But at that time it was the first bank to offer so many features on internet banking, and it was a big hit. 2008-09 we started our mobile banking journey. I would say today that that ICICI Bank's iMobile is one of the best, not just in India, but across the world, in terms of the features that it offers, in terms of the convenience, in terms of the safety, in every way. So similarly, 2011-13, we focused on tap banking. I'm sure a lot of you will remember the ad with Anita Pai. A lot of mobile apps. Currently, what are we doing? We're looking at mobile wallets. The government is pushing in a big way for all e-payments, which is UPI, BHIM, all the e-payments. And the way forward I'll talk about. So what this slide shows you is that at every point in time, the world has been changing, technology has been changing, but at ICICI Bank we've been constantly ensuring that we are at that point using the latest technology and using it well. Let me give you a couple of examples of innovation. So you take account opening, when you open a bank account. So if you look at earlier, it was all paper-based. You had a paper application which you signed, and it would take us 3 days. From there we said, we will not open it at the branch. The paper will come in, we'll scan it from the branch, but we will do it in a centralized location. So we could do it in maybe 1 or max 2 days. But from paper, the world evolved. And we were able to then send images on the network. And so therefore we could move it from 1 day. Then when tab came in, we could take it to 4 days. But then things changed again. As you know, one of the most critical parts to open an account is to have a KYC. You know the KYC? Yes. And KYC has to be evidence. So earlier it used to be evidence is to be on paper. So you had to give a photocopy of either your PAN or your passport or any of these documents. Today, since Aadhaar has come in, and now through your fingerprint, it is able to talk to the Aadhaar site real time and come back and say, yes, this is the same person who is being, whose account is being opened. And today we have, if you use the change that has happened in the ecosystem, which is the Aadhaar based validations and the mobile based account opening, it can happen instantly. So right now we have the ability to open accounts in the next 2 minutes. You put in all your data. You don't even need to put in a lot of data. You give your Aadhaar number and you put in your thumbprint or fingerprint. Within seconds, it not only validates, but it also gives the data back. Yeah? So innovation cannot happen in isolation. Innovation will always happen when the ecosystems of the world also change at the same time. That's when it becomes a win-win for everybody. I'll take another example of trade. Okay? Trade is a very important part of the whole life cycle of any corporate. And similarly, started as paper-based, from decentralized went to centralized, saved a day. It went to online, okay? It could happen within a day. And today, with platforms that are available where buyer, seller, everybody, puts in into the same platform, you can pretty much do it within, 4 or 5 hours. And now with blockchain technology coming in, soon, in the next maybe few months, we will see this happening instantly. Because we don't have to keep revalidating the same documents. Today in trade, what happens? The buyer sets a set of documents, the buyer's bank is checking. The seller gives a set of documents, the seller's bank is checking. So the same documents are getting checked multiple times at various banks. But if you have one, what does blockchain do? Give you a single number for any document. And if these numbers are the same, you don't have to keep rechecking, which gives you the ability to, again, move very fast. So having talked about, what happens with a couple of processes, I'll just quickly run through a few new technologies. I believe that today it is very important. There are a lot of people out there at the back who are, busy having their own conversation. But I want to tell them that, it's important for you to listen to these, not for anything else, not because I'm speaking, but because today, managers who do not know technology will find it very, very difficult to be able to carry on a conversation. Every part of banking today, every part of any financial services industry, or any part of any finance function in any corporate, without the use of technology will be fairly, you'll find yourself handicapped. And these are the new technologies that are going to make so much of a difference, because what we learn today is actually, maybe fairly old. Technology is changing so fast that we have to be able to keep up with it. Let me take you through a few of the technologies that are in vogue today. Right. So first is the robotic process automation. Okay. What is a robotic process automation? It is a software that behaves like a human. It is not a physical robot. It's a software robot. It works on the server or on the hard disk. any repetitive activity that every person does. Okay, it can mimic that activity to the T. So any activity that is repetitive, which have rules for being able to do it. For example, if A is equal to B, then write C. Or if A is 1/3 of B, then write something. If those are the rules, it will do it perfectly. It can handle huge volumes without any problem. Okay, so that is RPA. That is one of the most critical things that's happening today in most financial services industry. Can you play the example? Yeah. So let me take this ATM query resolution. We have about 20 crore, in excess of 20 crore ATM withdrawals in a year. But for about 0.05%, we get queries. Okay? And what are the queries? The queries typically are, the query typically says that I haven't received cash. My account has got debited, but I haven't received cash. Okay? We used to handle this, the regulator gives us 7 days to handle this. Okay? And we used to do it in 4 hours. With using this thing, we are now being able to do it in 4 hours. Earlier we used to take 12 hours. With 12 hours, we were the best in the industry. But now using RPA, we are faster, 100% accurate, and we are able to do it in 4 hours. So let me quickly show you how it goes. Look at the number of steps that we used to follow. So we had a team of people who are only doing this. Okay? So they would do step 1, okay, which no, they wouldn't do step 1. Step 1 the customer does. And that question gets captured in a customer portal. We pull those queries. We check, we do a first check. If that check is not successful, we go to the next one. Then we go to the third one. And then we take a decision on whether the customer was correct, and therefore should we refund the customer, or should we say sorry to the customer and say, there's nothing wrong, your query is wrong. Our software robo is actually now taking over steps 3 to 7. So suddenly, the customer raises a query, the query is registered. From there, everything else the robo is doing. And this completely is able to relieve us of the whole team that was sitting and doing this, no longer needs to focus on this because this is a robo. Earlier, if a question came in at 7:30 in the evening, if a customer did try to do an ATM withdrawal and had a query at 7:30 in the evening, by the time it came to the operations team at 8 or 8:30, there would be nobody in office. And therefore, it would get picked up the next day at 9:30. But with the robo being on, it gets resolved in the next couple of hours maximum. So customer anxiety is reduced. Customer gets his answer. So it's a great, from a customer perspective, it's a great thing. So can you go back? Yeah. So this is one of the most critical tools that you will see today to handle volume. So like I said, in the bank, we have about 1,000 odd such robos. We do about 15 lakh transactions a day just through our robos. We've seen huge amount of reduction in processing time. And the best, most important thing is there are 0 errors. Because you do something, you make an error, the customer gets even more frustrated, right? So first of all, the customer raised a query. When you're processing his query, you make an error, there is nothing more frustrating for a customer. The next one which we have done, this is on a hardware robo. Okay? So all the cash that comes into the bank goes to the currency processing center, where we make sure that every piece of currency goes through a machine. The machine checks it and makes sure that it gets, we have to take out notes that are soiled, the bad notes, and the good notes we're supposed to keep it separately. And then we make bundles of 100. All of this was done manually. I'll show you a quick video on this. Not this one. you noticed the first part of that AV, there was one machine, okay, which was doing, to that there were two people, correct? One was loading cash, the unprocessed cash, and there was one fellow who was keeping on pulling out bundles as the bundles reached 100. So for one machine, there were two people who were handling it. With the robo, we were able to manage three machines with just one person. So instead of six people that we would have required, and you know this whole managing this currency processing, as you could see, those people were wearing masks, etc. And they have, you know, because the notes come in all. Sometimes notes are damp, and you know notes go through anywhere and everywhere. So it was always a health hazard. So we were able to have these people move out and do something more useful and get a robot to do it. This is the sort of efficiency that everybody looks for today. In fact, recently, the CII, which is the Confederation of Indian Industry, they called me and said, we would like you to come, and they were having a industry exhibition. It was also a competition. So they said that please come and participate in this competition. So I said, but this is for industry. You know, I'm in BFSI, so I don't belong in. They said, no, we want you to come. So literally they called us, and then we were awarded the first prize, because they said this is the first time we've seen something so innovative done. Because the team at ICICI Bank, we worked with the vendor, Epson, who's the vendor in this, designed this, and it is not very simple. For example, when that robo is picking up the cash, at what angle should it be picking up? Should it pick up at this angle, this? Each angle has a different implication. The amount of research that we did along with the manufacturer was tremendous. And for the first time, and according to me, this is the first in the world. I haven't seen this sort of a robo anywhere else in banking, anywhere else in the world. So this is the type of research that one needs to do today, and constantly look at new avenues to make things more efficient. OCR is another piece which is very, very critical. What OCR helps you to do is to be able to get all the data that is written in a document, to be able to pull it out and then be able to work with it. The conventional methods of OCR would always want a particular field to be placed in a particular place. Okay, so for example, if name has to be the first thing, it always has to be there. It cannot keep moving. This OCR, it looks for the word name, and therefore it is able to say where the word is name, the letters after that is actually the name of the person. So what it does is, all the documents that we send out to our customers, suppose the customer changes one page. Suppose I send a customer a set of, say, 10 pages, and he changes one page out of the whole thing. I will never know when it comes back. But that could be the page that has the most critical information on, say, how do we, what sort of penalties will be levied, etc. And so therefore, it's important that when the customer sends it back, I check each page. Now, it was not a value-adding job, because I'm sending out something. Same document comes back signed by the customer. Now again I have to check it to see what I sent, whether it is the same as what has come back. So we were able to use OCR where I know what I have sent, because that's anyway in soft copy. When the customer sends the document back, that also gets scanned. The scanned images do a quick check, like a VLOOKUP in Excel, if that's something that you're familiar with. And it's able to check it and then say, good to go. Or it says, no, there's a problem in this, please do a manual check. With this, we have been able to reduce the turnaround time for this particular activity by 75%. So earlier, if it used to take me 20 minutes to do a case, today it takes me less than, maybe 2-3 minutes to do one case, which is great, because now I can do much more business with the same team, or if business remaining same, I can reduce the size of the team. Correct? This is a word you must be hearing a lot these days. Yeah? Okay. So what does artificial intelligence do? Yes, one person. Okay. So artificial intelligence is all about learning as you go. Okay. Most of us have taken 20 years, 22 years to come up to this level of intelligence by reading, giving exams, all of that. How does software do it? Okay, the method of software of acquiring intelligence to address a particular query or question, that is called artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence uses data. Okay, now, and it uses data without any bias.